$100,000. Okay. Section 9 on the good faith estimate, initial deposit for your escrow account. Once again, that's a total. You guys are going to have to break it down on your buyer's estimated expense worksheet. So we'll go over that. That's considered your reserves and prepaids. Okay?
Yes.
On your prepaids...
I'm sorry, I missed something.
Yeah.
What'd you miss? What
Well,
did
I
we miss?
have government, so 8 was G. Well, what was 7 on your sheet?
7 is just to record the mortgage, record the deed of trust, whatever your the recording fees are with the county. Okay? Sorry about that. I skipped over that.
Wait. We were.
Okay.
Yeah, we
We got off track here a little bit.
So where does 7
Number 7. Let's go with number 7 first. Government recording fees. Okay? Those are, go to line 25.
Okay.
Okay? Recording fee. Then 8 is your Kansas mortgage registration tax, which goes to line 26. Okay?
8 goes to 26. And number 9 is what?
Number 9 is your is what we call prepaids. Okay? Now on your prepaids, there's several different items. We'll go over those one at a time. Okay? Because if you look on the good faith estimate, it totals them, which does you guys no good. Okay? So we're going to look at the prepaids. First of all, line 39, prepaid interest. Okay? Do you guys know how to calculate the prepaid interest? Okay. What you're going to do on prepaid interest is you're going to figure out what day of the month you're closing. Okay? Let's say you're closing, we're going to make it easy and say we're closing on the 30th. So you have 1 day left in the month. Okay? Prepaid interest is paid for every day remaining in the month that you close. Okay, so if you close on the 15th, you charge 15 days worth of prepaid interest. Okay, the closer towards the end of the month you close, the less you're going to collect in prepaid interest. Okay?
For the days left.
Yeah, days left in the month. Okay, that's the easiest way to calculate it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your borrower's interest rate, okay, times the loan amount.
Borrower's interest rate times the loan amount.
Okay, and you're going to divide by 365. 365 days in the year. That amount right there is going to give you your interest charge per day. Okay, so what you're going to do there is, let's say you have 3 days at $27 a month. You total that up for the total prepaid interest charge. Okay, that's your total. Okay? You guys get that?
You're going to hate me because I keep going back to the fact you're not going to know that when you're filling
Exactly.
that out.
That's why it's difficult to fill out this section without a lot of the information.
That's the reason you fill it out with assuming that you have 30
Assuming.
days.
Okay.
And then
you do
that's
fill
the
it out
max.
assuming you have 30 days?
That's the max.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's what I would tell them. The
Okay.
max would be 30 days. So if you close before...
Right, and I will, and actually that's a very good point, because that's actually what I did on a
Okay.
sheet later on. In
So we should
retrospect,
fill it
maybe
out
I probably
assuming
should have
30
gone to
days.
that first. Yeah, I always just assume 30 days because that's the max, because then you
Okay.
always can come on down to that. Okay?
What's your question? State.
I'm going to make one right now.
Okay, on line, okay, that's your prepaid interest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on line 40 is your months of homeowner's insurance or hazard insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I always go ahead and collect 14 months of homeowner's insurance. Okay? And the reason we do 14 months is on your worksheet there's no separate line. Your first year's homeowner's insurance is always due up front, right? At closing. Your first year's premium. And then you put 2 months in reserves into your escrow account. Okay, so let's just say the homeowner's insurance is $1,200 a year. Okay, that $1,200 is due up front, like all insurance. You pay it up front at closing. And then we put a 2 months cushion in your escrow account so that there's enough in there next year to pay it. Okay, so that's why we do 14 months of homeowner's insurance.
And how do you get that figure?
That's once again, you're not going to have that figure.
Well, you can, you can estimate.
I mean,
And how
all
do
these
you estimate
numbers.
What do you use?
Well, what
I mean, I've called my insurance agent, which is,
Well, that's-
she's probably like, really?
Yeah, you can have a relationship with an insurance agent, and you can call them, or you can just kind of get a ballpark from your insurance agent and say, hey,
Right.
this is, I would talk to my insurance agent, because all insurance companies are a little different, whatever they charge, just like all mortgage companies are different in what they charge. So you kind of get an idea. You have a homeowner's insurance?
Plus, there's so many different types of policies.
And there is, I mean,
You know?
who's going to know if they have a jewelry rider on their
Right.
insurance that's going to
Right.
cause it to be
Replacement
$200?
cost.
But the bottom line,
That's
this is
estimate.
just an
Yeah.
estimate.
I know.
This is not.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't have answers for you as far as how to get
There's not a
exact.
dollar
I mean, this
amount
is
you can
just
go.
where you put things.
Well, depending on the
It's
size of the house, you
How do
have to
you
give
get-
an estimate.
How do I get the
Yeah.
numbers?
You
At what
have
point-
the actual, policy.
Well, actually, I will get a verbal quote from the insurance agent as quickly as possible. That's what I do when I'm filling out mine. If it's available, 9 times out of 10, I estimate as well.
Okay.
Okay, so, and that just, I just pick a number that I feel that's kind of where the insurance is going to fall. I always usually try to estimate on the high side. I mean, so then they're never, because that's going to affect their their cash to close
Yeah.
and their monthly payment.
Right.
Okay, on taxes as well. If we're communicating, typically you'll know what the taxes are and you'll communicate that to me. That's one thing we typically do now. So, or if it's, obviously you can look it up. If I have an address, you can look it up online. So taxes we usually have, but insurance, I usually just try to go on the high
I've never
side.
known.
And you can call an insurance agent and say, what's the typical insurance for this neighborhood? And get an idea.
That's
unless
what I've
it's new
done, but I
construction.
didn't know if that
And
was.
then you just go on the high, like he said, you just add another couple $100 to it and go on the high side. Because you're right, you don't know if they're gonna have replacement costs or if they have meats and antiques and la la la.
Right, so then on line 40, we're going 14 months of homeowner's insurance or hazard insurance, the same thing. And that is, like I said, if it's $100, if it's $1,200 policy, that's $1,400. Okay. Line 41, months taxes. I always put 3 months worth of taxes on there. Okay. Usually it falls somewhere between 2 and 3 that the lender's going to require in the escrow account. Okay. And I always usually put 3 months. Okay, because that's usually what the lender will require in the escrow account. Okay. Now, when you look at the settlement statement, you're going to see, if it's towards the end of the year, you're going to see me collecting 11 months worth of taxes. Like, well, what's going on there? You only said 3. But then, when you get the buyer's credits on the first page of the settlement statement, they're getting credit for every day they didn't live in that house, from January 1 to September 30th. Okay, they're getting that credit back. So the difference is what we're putting on that line. Okay, we're putting 3 months on there. Okay, really, no
That's
matter
what
what
they're
time of the
actually
month
will
or the
pay.
year you close, right? That's what they're actually having to bring to closing. Okay, because they're going to get the difference back from the seller, because the seller is responsible for the taxes when they lived in the house.
Right.
So you'll see that as a buyer credit on the first page of the settlement statement. Okay, but as far as for this sheet, you want to go ahead and just put 3 months worth of taxes. Okay, like I said, it's going to fall somewhere between 2 and 3. Okay. Months MIP PMI premium. I would always leave that blank. Okay. Rarely have I ever seen a prorated portion of mortgage insurance have to be collected at closing. Okay? It just doesn't happen. So go ahead and you can just go ahead and ignore line 42 for purposes of cash to close for your buyer. Flood insurance. I don't know if you guys have ever had a situation where you had a home that's in a floodplain and you have to get additional flood insurance. It's not cheap.
No, it's
Okay?
not.
A lot of times, if you're dealing with your buyer, you may or may not know that it's in a floodplain at the time you're writing the contract.
Except that it's supposed to be on the MLS sheet.
Supposed to, right.
Yeah.
I'm saying sometimes you're going to run into situations where it comes up, the lender gets flood insurance or does a flood cert, and all of a sudden it comes up as in one.
Because those get changed.
That
They
would,
do get
yeah,
changed.
they do change, and it's, maybe they didn't think it was in one,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're in one out, and I guarantee if you're in a floodplain, the least of your concerns is whether or not you disclose that on the buyer's estimated closing costs.
But, and why can't you explain to your buyer that this is only estimates and that they need to keep in touch with their lender?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Before closing, you'll have concrete numbers. And
Absolutely.
then you don't have to.
I agree with you.
I think most everybody, don't you just circle estimate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I always, absolutely.
Yeah, I think what we're just trying to work on now is what numbers go to which spots.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's not an exact.
Well, and a lot of times, in the past, some